Welcome back to part 4 of Why Law Firm Mergers Fail with Wolf Shark & Co. and Puppy Dog Kitten & Co. Thank you. So in the first section, we talked about sort of finances and cars and properties. In the second section, we've just talked about managing the firm. Perhaps more widely then, what do you perceive as the sort of strategic reasons for the merger?
I think, to be frank, Tom, we have an aging partner profile, and we've got some senior partners who've been there for a long time with large capital accounts who are looking to retire. We are struggling to find younger partners who want to take on the responsibilities of partnership, even within our lovely LLP structure, and certainly in particular to fund what they would need to pay the outgoing partners for the share of goodwill. So, in addition to sort of what we can bring and what Howard can bring, we see succession as a major driver behind this merger.
I see. And Howard, sort of the nuts and bolts to one side, do you perceive a strategic reason for the merger?
Oh, absolutely. We need bench strength to get economies of scale. We've invested heavily in compliance and systems in particular over the last few years. And the level of that investment means that we could cope with a far larger firm as a result. And we really want to spread that cost across a higher level of turnover. So that's what we're looking to do, and tie that in with increasing our PEP. I've mentioned we are increasingly, we are avowedly elitist. We're looking to increase our PEP. It's the only way to grow the firm and take the firm forward is to have high PEP to bring in more partners, especially in a highly competitive market. And a merger is the quickest and easiest way of doing that. And we see significant synergies to drive the profitability forward.
And you use the word merger there, Howard. Do you think this is a true merger?
No, of course it isn't. There's never a true merger. We say that it is, but in reality, we are the stronger party, and we're acquiring them. As they're really a somewhat sleepy firm and have not capitalized on their strong client base, and we really want to get stuck into their clients where we can probably double their fees overnight and hugely enhance our profitability.
I see. And Mark, do you think it's a true merger?
Howard and I have sort of kicked this around over the club, and actually it's one of the few areas where I might actually disagree with Howard, because yes, as to what is a merger is fine, but we feel that in many respects we're the stronger party here. What they need is our culture, which they don't have, and they need our history and our respectability in the market because of what we've been. So we can bring all of that and sort of help them with maintaining staff and so on. And therefore, is it a true merger? I don't know, but I think what we bring to the party is more important in many respects.
And Mark, talking of history and respectability, has there been any discussion about what the name of the new firm will be?
Oh yeah, that was one of the things we we kicked off whilst we were still on the first bottle, and we agreed not to fall out over it, and going by initials is obviously the trendy thing to do, so we're going to be WSPK & Co. LLP.
LLP, I see. And Howard, have you any thoughts on the name?
Oh, absolutely. Mark and I are absolutely at one over this. As he says, we agreed right at the outset not to fall out about the name. So the name is going to be WSPK & Co. Limited.
See. And also, Howard, in the future, under that new name, how do you plan to manage the new firm?
Well, we recognise this is potentially a bit of a difficult area, but we agreed that I will be CEO as opposed to managing director, and Mark will be executive senior partner responsible for strategy, which, dare I say, is what those approaching retirement tend to take responsibility for, and I think Mark is the ideal person to look at our future strategy. After that, it gets a tad difficult. I plan to have 2 of his young guns on a management committee, which I must admit I'm going to struggle to cope with that, but I'll go along with that. Plus, I really like Mark's FD. Mark's FD, apart from being really attractive, is very effective. And my marketeer is absolutely vital. That's fundamental to taking it forward. HR director, not sure their HR director really brings much to the party. So I think regrettably we'll probably have to let them go.
And Mark, how do you foresee managing the combined firm?
Well, we won't allow sexist attitudes like that to creep through for a start, but yeah, we do recognise that this is a difficult area, and yeah, I'm comfortable to take on this role of executive senior partner, whatever Howard calls it. But I mean, effectively, we're going to be splitting this equally according to our skills, sort of joint managing partners, senior partners, whatever you want to call it. And I think our culture is the right one. So I don't want to disturb things too much. I think I agree. I'm happy to cut down the size of the management committee. I certainly need my HR director because they are absolutely key to keeping that. By way of compromise, I might let the FD go. She is very good and will find a role elsewhere. But I really don't think we need their rather blunt marketing director. We can really do without that. And I think we need to have at least 3 elected partners, members, whatever, on the committee to keep that culture and engagement and involvement. After all, it's not a dictatorship.
Thank you, Mark. So you mentioned possibly having to let the marketing director of Wolf Shark go. Do you expect that there will be many other redundancies?
Well, we don't like redundancies, obviously. Our FD, we can help find something else, their marketing director. And I think, there's probably going to be a couple in the merged accounts team because of, economies of scale, etc. But, the culture of the firm is very dear to us. And, the growth that comes from the merger will take up any slack. So we shouldn't need to do anything. We've got some very, very long-standing staff, not just my secretary Beryl, and a duty to them.
What about you, Howard? Do you expect to have to make any redundancy?
Well, I regret to say the old phrase, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. So regrettably, yes, I think we do have to make redundancies, probably about 10% across the board. And I do recognise the awful effect redundancies can have on morale. So I would be cutting quickly and deeply, right, almost at the outset. Within the first couple of weeks of having done a deal, I'd be making those sort of cuts with a view to avoiding multiple rounds of redundancies and then giving security to the staff moving forward. Very clear looking at the stats of Mark's firm that they really are overstaffed. Their chargeable hours are way too low, and there's clearly some fat to cut and assets to sweat. And obviously the back office is going to be a key area to look at.
I see. Fat to cut. Howard, thank you very much. Mark, Howard, thank you both, in fact, very much for joining us today and for discussing where you are with your merger conversations on behalf of Puppy Dog Kitten and on behalf of Wolf Shark. I suspect my 2 Mosaic colleagues are going to break character now. But for our viewers at home, I just perhaps things you might want to think about is if you were advising the 2 firms, would you recommend a continuation of the talks? And putting that to one side and putting aside geography and technicalities, which firm would you personally rather join as a partner? 2 things to ponder, perhaps. We said right at the start that these are fictitious firms and that my 2 Mosaic colleagues were very much in character and doesn't necessarily represent their views. But what I would also say is there's no right or wrong here. There are 2 very effective practices here, each with their own advantages, but also each with their own challenges. We have marginally over-dramatized some of the issues to make the point, but probably not quite as far from reality as you might think. Mark, Howard, I don't know if you have any closing remarks you'd like to make?
I think only from me that we have overstated it, particularly some of the sexist comments and the such like, for which I apologise, or my character apologises, should I say.
I think your character wouldn't apologise, that's the problem.
I think you're right. But it's not that far from reality. We've all seen many situations like this where, frankly, as advisors, we've had to say, don't do the deal. But at the same time, there are many deals that have been successful over the years, usually where both parties recognize who is the stronger and who is the weaker party.
Yeah, and what they're bringing, and yeah, the synergy is one of these great things. I mean, I remember, yeah, from my sort of MBA days that 70% of mergers fail to deliver the synergies that they were expecting. And the other thing is, as Howard and Tom, I always have to quote Peter Drucker, you know, sort of every day. He was a great management guru who said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I think, you know, the point we're making here is that there is no right and wrong. If the culture doesn't work, you've got a real problem, even if the numbers or the geography say it will work. So yeah, that's the key message.
And with that, thank you both for your Oscar-winning performances, and thank you at home for watching, and tune in soon for the next Mosaic Coffee Break.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.